Thank you, Cosco, and thank you everyone for being here today, and thank you, Cosco, for asking me to fill in as a panelist, also my first time. And I'm grateful to be following in Jeff's footsteps because honestly, the only reason why I'm here is because my father was living with me as I was raising my daughter as a single parent, and I was caregiver to my father living with me, and he needed home support. And 14 years ago, I'm not sure exactly what they called it, but it didn't exist. And I was sort of hopeful to hear that, 15 years hence, there would be improvement, but it seems not. When my home became full and rich of bars to hold, special chairs to get in and out of, sort of makeshift toilet arrangements because he couldn't get there. I asked for home support from community services, and his lack of income was evident that he would be qualified for anything that they would have been able to provide. But unless he needed medicine dispensed and they would provide me with 15 minutes a day, I didn't get anything. So, and I was working 14, 16 hours a day. So for that reason, I'm here today to talk about long-term care because the community supports weren't available for my father, who ended up in long-term care 14 years ago, still alive, still doing okay. But I honestly feel that he was in there 5 years at least too early. My only consolation is when I read that first line that said, long-term care is 24/7 professional services care. I was like, oh, at least he'll be well taken care of because he was prone to slip and falls because he was unsteady on his feet due to a myriad of health issues. But unfortunately, within 3 years, he had his first slip and fall and broke his entire left side of his shoulder, elbow, hip, and knee. So for me, I became disillusioned quite quickly. And I'll be going more into my experience personally and that of our organization in the workshop. But I want to say right now, today, what am I here to talk about? The title of my program is Nothing About Us Without Us, which I thought that Susie Chant was going to go launch into for a moment because she said that in her speech. And like, wow, you're going to talk about exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's all about engagement, and whether you want to call it patient engagement, client engagement, resident engagement, that's what this is about today. And it's about really increasing the quality of life in long-term care with what we already have, and that is our voices. That is advocating for ourselves as residents, if possible, and that's advocating as family members, friends, and representatives of residents in long-term care with what we've got, all through a mechanism which I'll launch into called the Resident and Family Council. So yes, my name is Lisa Dawson, and I'm president of the Independent Long-Term Care Councils Association. Essentially, at the provincial level, we have an umbrella that supports a regional association of family councils in each region. Each region supports the education, information on forming a council in long-term care homes, educating staff and management, and supporting them along this journey, and really extolling the virtues and benefits about the communication process, the input and feedback, because we've never had that before. We've never been allowed. So go ahead and let's see. Flip forward. So yes, as I mentioned, why do we care about long-term care at all? Well, backtracking a little, the Independent Long-Term Care Councils of BC, our vision is that the quality of life, person-centered care be the lens through which all service delivery decisions are made in long-term care homes in BC. So I know that most of you, through your work in healthcare and seniors advocacy and seniors work, you might be familiar with what long-term care is. You might even know of someone who's passed through long-term care. But what's lesser known is the role that the family or friend or caregiver or representative has in supporting the resident in care through family council. So you're going to ask, well, what is a family council? A family council, essentially, similar to a resident council, is just a group of people, For a family council, it's a group of friends, families, and representative of residents in long-term care who meet regularly. They meet to discuss the concerns, their ideas, and their recognition of things that are working well for their residents in long-term care. They don't just meet, and they don't just discuss. They bring together ideas and areas of opportunity to discuss with care home leadership and have collaborative and respectful conversations that are action-oriented and outcomes-oriented. So at the end of the day, week, month, and year, you'll see incremental change in the quality of life of residents through elevating their wants, needs, and wishes through these councils, right through to their care home leaders. But what's existing and what's in the way, and what do we have as a tug-of-war in long-term care that makes this seemingly simple communication so challenging? Well, currently we have for systemic issues at the highest level, we have long-standing underfunding. We have long wait lists to even access to get care, to long-term care. We have inadequate resource allocation to meet our growing needs. That's in the food service area and recreation, therapies, music therapies, and so many other places. We just have an outdated model of care, including staff to resident ratios and holistic training. And this is a place where our friends, family, and even ourselves may end up in the coming years. So this is the workshop today. We'll review what we do, what our organization does and how we do it. But it focuses on doing what we can with what we already have influence over. And that's using our voices, elevating our conversations, and meeting long-term care management with our common ground. And that is providing quality of care and quality of life for our residents. It's a process of continuous quality improvement. And again, who am I? I have mentioned to you that I am a family caregiver and still am to my father, and when my journey began. I've said a little bit about that. But when I was in long-term care, and I'll go into more detail in the workshop, the first few years was fraught with isolation, frustration, dead ends, not knowing who to talk to, being told essentially, your role as caregiver has ended in this manner, and we are taking over now, so you'll hear from us once a year at a care conference. Whoa, that was really good. And furthermore, during COVID, you can't come and see your father until he's palliative. That is degraded to such a state that you'll be able to see him for his last times. So I did wait my 11 months. I did go in after he had degraded to a point where certainly his weight had diminished. But once he saw me, his sense of humor did come back. And I think that our personal, mental, and emotional health really helps our physical and other well-being. So what happened? During COVID, I became a strong advocate of long-term care reform for the sake of our residents. Tried to connect with a lot of other family members like myself to see if there's anyone else out there, or am I the only crazy person that really cares this deeply? And I connected with a bunch of same-souled individuals on Vancouver Island who had started a loosely knit, connected grassroots form of care home family members connecting and talking and sharing, and they had even started to approach their health authority to see if they could have collaborative conversations. Wow, that was such an eye-opener. So a group of us actually formed a regional association of family councils in 2021 in each health authority, very grassroots, loosely knit, people just like myself, and we started talking, what can we do? And we knew that we had to develop relationships. That was our key thing with our care homes, care home leaders, health authorities, and ultimately the Ministry of Health. And we had to do that through some sort of provincial umbrella, and that's when we registered in 2022, the Provincial Association of Family Councils. So what are we going to learn in the workshop, and what are we going to do? Essentially, you'll get a better understanding of the new role of the family caregiver. I really call it the new role of us seniors. We should feel liberated now, especially after COVID, that we have a voice, that we can speak out, and that we can make a difference. You know, putting up with the status quo under certain conditions, I totally support. But when it comes to the needs, wants, and wishes of other people collectively on a large base that aren't being treated fairly or with dignity or compassion, I think we have a right to express our voice. When we work together for the goal of continuous quality improvement, it allows us to work incrementally. It doesn't say, okay, we need this by this date, these are our demands. It helps us focus on incremental change, which works for everyone. Also, in the workshop, we'll learn the difference with real-life examples between long-term care without the Family Council and with the Family Council as examples to show how all of you can use the same mechanism of engagement in whatever workplace you're at, whatever organization you're with, whatever volunteer group you're with, the importance of input and feedback to make the organization thrive. Thank you for listening, and I hope you join our workshop.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and thank you for that really important work that you've been doing